Welcome, everybody, to another Sunday Night Live with me, your host, Dexter, CEO of EVW Sports. And today we have quite a few announcements. And mostly it's just trying to trying to give everybody an update of the ongoings of what's happening within the company and also a little bit in the sport as well. So, ready to rock? Hey, Randy. So, let's see. Okay, well, sorry, I'm getting some messages from Alex to go join him in a turbo match. But first and foremost, I want to just remind everybody we are going to be going full blast with our promotion for Switzerland. It's about sometime in the next few days. So that's when we'll start pretty hard. We'll be releasing our podcast, our podcast with a special host. You guys will come to find out. We'll come to find out a little bit later, and it's all the match. So it's will be the two athletes. So there will be 12 podcasts, official podcasts on the official channel, and the one difference is I believe we're gonna have it recorded this time, so we can clean things up a little bit, and also it allows us to collaborate with the athlete's YouTube account, so they can grow, we can grow, kind of thing. GB19, I think what happened was I saw a whole bunch. So GB19 is asking if my show is earlier or it varies every week. I think I'm going to try to do it about 8 p.m. Eastern, because that way it allows the uh, Eastern time guys to join us. It might be a little bit early on the West Coast, but so it's kind of a balance. Maybe it's still 7. Maybe it's still 7. Oh, here you are. You canceled your turbo match, Alex? It's funny. The reason I've been talking to Alex quite a bit is because we are gearing up the US visa applications for schoolboy to come to the United States. So that's what's happening. Our Arik Khan says, glad to know you hired Coach Ray as media manager. His potential in that aspect was overlooked. Yeah, I think it's been working out pretty good. You can see that our content is coming a little bit more regularly. So no super chats live podcast. Good question. I think if like from the revenue standpoint, I mean, we will never say no to super chats, but there are certain things that I'm trying to play around. Example, this week, if you notice that I did not have one of my regular Beyond the Table podcasts, because we are testing something new, and hopefully that might be a norm in the future, where all our videos, especially the one that requires translation, will instead be having subtitles. And in order to do that, it needs to be going through some post-production work for accuracy. So everything's going to be recorded, edited, and added English subtitles. Because the one thing that I don't want is a whole bunch of the pace being too slow. I'm talking to you, and somebody's translating back and forth, and then at the end of the day, we hear more of the translator than both the athlete and the interviewers. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I just want to try something different, and so uh, we are recording one that, and the whole podcast won't be done in English, but there'll be English subtitles. So there'll be that. Uh, so in terms of venue, we are really really close. We are really really close to getting a venue locked down. The sports commissioner at Atlantic City really loves us, really really loves Robert, and wants us to go back like none other, right? He even got a lot of the partner hotels to give us 50% off for our guests, things like that. So there's a lot of push for us to be in Atlantic City. So we really enjoy going back to where we are welcome. uh I'm in. Okay, well, I guess you have more than one monitor. Let's see. When do we get to see Schoolboy versus Rickard? We'll we'll see. It might come sooner than later, actually. So we'll see. Matter of fact, because Schoolboy's brother's on the chat, tell him to go quickly wrap up the US visa application, and maybe we'll see it then. Ray's fantastic, great hires by Randy, perfect. Everybody's saying Schoolboy, and here's Arif Khan also mentioning Schoolboy versus Ricard would be a banger of a match. Don't disagree. How about English Athletes Podcast? GB19 asks, well, maybe in terms of consistency, we might still do it recorded. I might be able to be convinced otherwise. The only thing about a lot of the questions sometimes, like now, this is a casual type podcast, so it's very easy for me to read, take some time to pause and go through all the questions on the chats because it's more of a casual setting, right? But in a podcast, when you have an athlete there and you're trying to engage actively, especially now you have two athletes, right? It might be a little bit challenging if you're constantly reading and then you're not really listening to what the athletes kind of saying. So that's why if you notice, like even during my Beyond the Table podcast, like I could be 30, 45 minutes behind in reading because I'm so focused on the athlete, and then it kind of messes things up a little bit. So that's why we're just trying to test that out a little bit. um somebody has Hermes take time out after hair transplant. I don't know. I don't even know if he's taking hair transplants. I didn't even go that's kind of a non-issue, you know, for me at this point. But he'll be coming to Switzerland, guys. So he'll be coming to Switzerland, and we'll have the top four, super heavy, right? I believe, coming 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 to Switzerland. So we're gonna sit down and we're gonna hash out all the possibilities. Example, like one of the biggest one that's being talked about right now is that what if Vitali loses? Now, everybody needs to understand something, right? Vitali, his style is not very good against a high endurance. So there is a prediction, right? Robert was telling me, he says he predicts that if Jerry takes the first round, it's over. It's over because Jerry's endurance is none other. I was watching one of a very old match. No, not very old, but old enough. Jerry versus Michael Todd. And have you seen that was the most nuts? He was in that was it a flop press position for like over 4 minutes straight and back to back, right? So anyway, so we have to think about all that, how that would change uh the whole course of next year's schedule, right? Because we got a plan. So okay, if Vitali wins, this is his next match, this is his next match, and so on and so forth. Now, if he loses, this what would happen. So really, I think I know Vitali seems like it's the public favorite. I don't honestly, it's probably a lot closer than everybody thinks, right? So those are the things that we're gonna discuss. Hermes will be also part of the whole conversation because we got to figure out how the whole matchmaking is going to happen. So it's going to be pretty exciting. I would say it's going to be super exciting. Um, let's see. Next question. We have any discussions about Brian's next opponent? Not quite yet. Not quite yet. Seems like he's going through some medical things, some issues. So maybe let's let him work that out first. Uh, Here's another question by Jack Daniels. What about requiring polls to upload at least 30 minutes of video on YouTube to promote themselves or any amount? Jack Daniels, you are not wrong. We, in our new revised contract, we are going to include something of similar language. So there are a lot of times that uh, it's sometimes not many, like some athletes we kind of have to keep pushing them, like to remind them, hey, you got to make promo videos of yourselves. There are athletes. I mean, the most famous one is Devin. Like we don't need to tell him, and he naturally does it himself, right? I mean, you can start seeing some of the European athletes are doing pretty well themselves. Camille, Sorhe, right? They're starting to put themselves out on social media, and that really helps. But there are some athletes that are still kind of shy and maybe not quite as comfortable. But I'm actually pretty happy. Even the refs themselves. Have you seen Oleg? Our ref from Colorado. He's doing things with. He's making videos, explaining about elbow fouls and everything. And yeah, so I think everybody should be doing more and more content. I mean, the sport's growing super fast, and I'm just here watching and facilitating the growth. And I'm so happy to see a lot of athletes are starting their social media channels right now. But yes, so it will take some time. It Let's see. Next question. The real question is, we need how do you get your hair to look so good? Or if you saw my hair like 5 years ago, it was thicker and fuller. This is light. This is light. I've been losing my hair real bad, real bad, real bad. So matter of fact, I got Infinity Functional Performance, one of our main sponsors. Uh, the doctor himself, Glenn. I got a meeting with him, and so to go through the whole questionnaire, he asked me, there'll be like, what do you want to help yourself with? And like I was just obviously now muscle growth, energy, mental clarity, and the last one is prevent hair loss. So hair loss is a real thing. Hair loss is a real thing. Yeah, Gotham says Brian's tricky one. He's ready for elite wrestlers, or does he stay lower level? I think after his last match, he might be slowly able to slow transition, very very possible, slow transition. Oh, the Swiss content would be so good. Yes, Randy, you are right. This Switzerland, like, man, if you guys know how much we are burning, our production costs. Now this is Switzerland, so it's different. Our production costs is going to cost us 5 times, almost five, not quite five, almost 5 times more than Istanbul. Almost 5 times. And it was pulling hair because we absolutely cannot believe that it was so expensive in Switzerland. But we knew, like, we couldn't cut corners, and so we had to hire the best of the best team, right? So the Swiss will be really good. Our production will be really good. Uh, Even despite them not even having dedicated internet at the venue, we are leasing this. Like this box costs $6,000 and to purchase, and this box allows you to put a number of SIM cards in there, right? And then it will tie all the cellular data and make it into one solid connection for our stream. That's how much we care about the stream quality. They have Wi-Fi, but we don't want to use regular Wi-Fi. They don't have any hardwire connections. So that's how much we're paying, to make sure that our event goes super smooth. Let's see. Oh, yes. Nobody guessed my 3 favorite classical composers. Okay. So my top favorite from this was a question that I posed last week on my channel. Right. Anybody gets it right, they get a free autograph strap. Okay. So this time it was my all-time favorite. It's Chopin. Okay. My second favorite, Mozart. So many people got that correct. Okay. And my third favorite is actually Liszt. Maybe I even pronounce it wrong, but Liszt. Because primarily a lot of his songs are really grand, so like, and really challenging. right? So Liz, let me see some of his my favorite songs. So uh La Campanella is one of my favorite. We have Hungarian Rhapsody number 2, Little Bit Strong maybe. That's also one of my favorites. So that's kind of a because if no, I didn't really study. I didn't really go to school for piano. I didn't even formally learn piano. I just sat around and just kind of taught myself a little bit. But from my understanding, Chopin and Liszt they were in the same romantic period, so that's why I kind of like the romantic period kind of style. But one was more flashy and grand. Chopin was more like I think it feel at least to me it's more conservative style, but the melodic part is very well composed, and there's a lot of techniques. I think there's more techniques for Chopin's music, whereas Campanella is just pure difficulty, and he utilizes the whole keys, the whole piano keys. So that's kind of so nobody got it this time. I'm gonna move on to the next question in the future. Alex Top Roll versus Jake Chia at EVW One. Hey, uh, is it publicly known that so Jake Chia is actually one of EVW's employees? Well, kind of third party employee. He still has his company. He is the one of the goats for left hand in the open weight category in Southeast Asia. So you ready to take on Southeast Asia? Is what he's saying, Alex? Let's see. Please, so another suggestion here, Arif Khan, please get Adam Warzinski a match too. He performed incredibly well at WAF Worlds lately. You know what? Keep this going. I am going to write it down. Those are I actually been monitoring the Reddit channel, the YouTube channel, the Discord channel. Uh, not so much on the Instagram channel as much in terms of because Instagram we get like a whole bunch of messages, so it's a bit hard to keep track. But these kind of match suggestions are really, really what I'm trying to pay more attention to because, like, you guys are ultimately our pay per view buyers. So you guys are our customers, you guys are our clients. So it totally makes sense for us to listen to you guys. Yes, the Swiss francs is not a cheap country. But I think I don't know if everybody saw, we released our, uh, well, have you released it yet? I'm going to check. Sometimes I get a bit so busy. But well, our Swiss partners, not we, but our Swiss partners were able to negotiate some pretty good discounts for 2 hotels that are adjacent, well, not adjacent, close by to our, uh, you know, to our main venue. Okay. So stay tuned on our Facebook page, Instagram. It'll all be released there because we are only looking at, I think, there's one hotel that's 99 Swiss francs. And so it's, I think, like $120 ish per day. And breakfast is included. So something to consider if you guys are thinking it's hotel's going to be too expensive. Maybe this is a decent option. Let's see. Arif Khan, thank you. I know Arif Khan mentioned, hope we sell enough pay-per-view to cover the cost and even make a profit. That's always at some point the goal. But we also need to make sure that our reputation is upheld pretty well. You're gonna start looking like young Samuel Hong. Oh, that guy was big when he was younger. I wasn't big when I was younger. Roy Levin said Handel, Schubert, Tchaikovsky. I think that's what you meant, right? Schubert's okay. Tchaikovsky, there's only a few that I kind of enjoy, but those are like super popular, right? Like the what is that Dance of the Fairy thing? I can't remember. That whole everybody uses that for ballet, right? and I think Sleeping Beauty they also use his music. But Vivaldi, Vivaldi, that's, I mean, the Four Seasons. That's probably the biggest one, and I don't really know too much of Vivaldi. Oh wow, Drew's classically playing the viola. Very very nice. Yeah, Moonlight Sonata. There's because it's I think in multiple. See, I don't even know what the exact term is. I think it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 or something, and I can play one of them, the easiest one. Oh, Richard Clayderman is my first composer that I love. When I was a very young age, when I was like in kindergarten, my cousin played it, uh, and it's so Richard Clayderman. That I think it's French. Very easy songs, but very very beautiful. I still play it today. Love it. So another person just mentioned Jake Chia and Alex. Jake Chia, Alex. We'll have to run it by the team. We have to run it by the team. Favorite Chopin Fantasy Impromptu. Um, that was actually the first song that drew my attention, and it was on YouTube. Let me find this Chinese guy named Fantasy Impromptu, and I can't find the pianist now. He was really famous in the early 2000s, and then he kind of fell off because of several scandals. But Fantasy Impromptu was the one that led me into liking Chopin. But as I listened to him, I mean, I actually, aside from the low level stuff, the high level stuff uh, that I started playing, right, that took me a while was Opus 92. I don't know if you know Opus 92. It's a very simple song, very simple song. And I told myself if I could finish learning that song myself, I would then um, buy me and upgrade my. I just had like a Yamaha U1 or something, so it's like an upright piano. But I told myself I'm gonna go buy myself a grand piano if I can finish the song, and I did. So I rewarded myself with a grand piano. Well, it's not a baby grand, it's like a medium grand, so it's not the super long, not 8 feet ones. It's like the 6 feet plus one, 6.5 feet. Oh yeah, so this guy Yundi Lee, 18 years ago, I listened to his version of Fantasy Impromptu. Sad he's terrible now. But let's see the next one. Vienna State Opera House. Okay, this might be preliminary, but we are in talks with the Austrian team to have an EVW in Austria. Potentially. It's just all very early talks, but Vienna might be a place that we might be seeing you guys there. Let's see. No, I haven't really got any updates from John Brusing. Maybe he should be a guest too. Maybe. John will pull again. That's well, Robert thinks John will pull again. And I think I mentioned this last week. Thinks. Now it's not confirmed. And you know, yes, guys, you can buy the EVW 20 pay-per-view right now. Head over to live.evwsports.com. Yeah, there we go. Thanks. Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. That's what it is. Yeah, the Four Seasons is so fun, especially the violin. If I played the violin, that would be one of the songs that I would play. Unfortunately, I don't. Who of the athletes impressed you the most the first time you met them in real life for their physique structure, like the top three? Okay, it's good. It's a really, really good question. I'm gonna say the first one. Now, 15 was my first event, EVW 15 in Istanbul. I would say Denis Sablenkov, because he's one of my brothers. Because I told him I told my brother I was going to Istanbul to go meet a whole bunch of arm wrestlers, and back then I was still kind of green behind the ears, but he's been following the sport for a really long time, and he told me Dennis is one of his favorite athlete. So when Dennis was there as a special guest, I was like, man, I gotta take a picture and show it to my brother, right? And when I grabbed his when I shook his hand and like those were like literally sausages, sausage fingers. I was like, whoa, and then I was just blown away of how big he was, how big he was. Um, the other one that I would say that really stood out, I would say that really, of his maybe his height and it's a very well, like I guess very balanced build. I would say it's Vitali. I would say Vitali. Vitali, we were like in Georgia and we were picking him up at the airport, and he was like a foot taller than everybody else, so we could spot him from like, and he was packed. It was like shoulder to shoulder at the airport. It wasn't a very big airport in Tbilisi, and he was like, we could spot him from a mile away because he was so tall, and he was friendly. He was nice, just grabbing everybody. So I guess Vitali is the next one. I guess Vitali is the next one. Now on the final one in terms of physique, I would say Oleg Zok. It's got to be Oleg Zok. I mean, when I saw his hands, his left hand, I'm like, dude, this guy is gonna crush everybody on the left. So I would say Oleg Zok. He's just formidable on the left arm, like Popeye on the left arm. So I would say it's Oleg Zok. Let's see. Has there been any talk about bigger tables for guys like Vitali, Shaw, Kadecha? They look very awkward and uncomfortable on the regular size table. Unfortunately, we haven't. It's one of our lower priorities to do any changes to the tables for now. To be honest, I mean we're still, trying to play catch up on a lot of operational stuff. Like Robert's spending so much time ensuring that we have the best deals for um, all our future 2026 events, even Atlantic City too, right? In potentially Atlantic City. So not quite there yet, but Disney songs on piano. Well, actually, what was interesting in when I was somewhere in high school, I was the choir conductor, right? And my favorite year was the year that we did a full production on Beauty and the Beast. So Beauty and the Beast is the song that I know, like all the songs and all the lyrics really well because we spent one year, just practicing. We travel and we perform at many places. So I think our teacher did a pretty good job. Matter of fact, she we're still pretty good friends on Facebook. So that's kind of like the scary part, right? I do a lot of work computers. I use my fingers a lot, and a little bit of piano, and then it's like, ooh, arm wrestle. And then I have this podcast with Matt Mass where he broke all, it bent his fingers out and dislocated them, and like, ugh, gets me a little scary. But you know, if Gyogi Tautif, who is a surgeon, would risk hurting his wrist, right? And his profession, I think I can wrestle. It's not that bad. There is Daniel Kupchik. Yes, there is. Until it's finalized, I don't think it's right for me to announce it here yet. It's not finalized, so I don't think I should announce it yet. Let's see, bigger bicep Dennis or Andre Smythe. I don't know. I don't think I've met Andre in person, so I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. Uh, yeah, you're right. I mean, if Zoc did not have that accident, he would be probably close to the left goat, right? Let's see, Smythe's biggest. And then here is another update I want to share with you guys. So the Swiss Open, okay. Now everybody knows that we are doing it in conjunction with the Swiss Open. The Swiss Open is probably the biggest tournament with the highest level in Europe this year, right? Probably outside of the Continental Championship. But I think if you have the opportunity, you guys should travel to the Swiss Open. Now, to give you an idea, like from what I was told, say even Ayane Takenaka is traveling to Switzerland to compete at the Swiss Open. So that's that kind of caliber of people that are traveling to the Swiss Open. So if you really want to test yourself, go to the Swiss Open, especially now that we are releasing some like coupon codes, some discount codes for the hotels in Switzerland. It'll make it a lot more affordable. And we are also still releasing some full match videos because up till 16, most everything is just highlights, and all the full match videos were living on other channels. So we're gonna start migrating them back in. So just so you know, yes, we have VIPs for EVW 20. The one slight difference that we're doing this time is that instead of bundling it up all together with hotel rooms, and also we normally did it in pairs, like VIPs were coming in pairs. We changed it up so that it's by the person. So if you came alone, you could get that VIP ticket just for yourself. Matter of fact, I had a very interesting email the other day. He says, "Hey, uh, I want my wife to come, to Switzerland and attend the EVW 20 event, but uh, she's not an arm wrestling fan. So I don't think it's right for me to buy her VIP ticket. Can I buy the VIP ticket for myself and she gets the general admission ticket? And, every now and then I'll just go back to the general admission to see how she's doing." So I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I can't guarantee you I have a seat back there if it's all sold out, but it shouldn't be a problem if you have to run back there to just say hi to your wife and check on her from time to time. But that's how much dedication there is in this sport, that people were willing to abandon their wife for a couple of hours so they have better seats. And that's, I think, also one benefit from having this per individual ticket for VIPs. When can you officially announce UFC talks publicly? Well, I mean, it's kind of known. I think I mentioned it. We have Chael Sonnen coming to commentate and to help color commentary and to do a whole bunch of videos and appearing on our podcasts and whatnot. So Chael Sonnen's coming. We made that confirmation about a week and a half ago. So there is that. Now, in regards to whether or not there'll be more that migrates over, not quite yet. But I think this is where arm wrestling shines really well. Okay. A lot of sport, combat sport especially, or even like traditional sport like basketball and football, they have some sort of a lifespan, and it's usually around the mid 30s at the highest level, and then their prime is just downhill from there, right? And then, I mean, did you see the post where Thor, after Bjornsson made, where he was, because Devin was just at FIBO in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, uh, and he was arm wrestling on stage with Hafter Bjornsson, and Devin, the ambassador that he is, he was like, "Hey, can we, and he was already starting to talk to Thor. Hey, as soon as your strongman career is kind of over, you might want to consider arm wrestling." I think that's maybe where the niche is. It's we try to find all the professional athletes who retired from other sports and have them come back to arm wrestling, because it's proven that we have a very long longevity, right? Kind of sport. So something to consider about that. Something to consider about that. So Arif Khan just mentioned, love how we take the initiative to tie up with major sporting events like the Swiss Open and Brian Shaw Classic, and yeah, it's a massive role in terms of exposure. Uh, yeah, so we are looking at other big events. I think FIBO is one of them now. FIBO is one of them. There is another one in. Maybe I shouldn't announce those because then it might seem like I'm alluding that we were going to do those. But so maybe I'll hold back on this. But yeah, we're always working to see how we can kind of partner and grow together. Do I have a gear? No, 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 no. This is the Arlington, Arlington long sleeves. We might be sold out. I'm not sure. We might be sold out on this. What is the best way to purchase VIP passes? It's all on our website. So there is a separate link on our landing page, and it says VIP passes. Mr. Peanuts says, marry a rich girl, and you both can afford to sit up front. I'm sure. Hope you're making Chael learn the basics. He always sounded dumb when talking about arm wrestling. I mean, the thing is, when he shows up, we'll have some of the videos of him getting trained by a certain athlete. So for sure, for absolutely sure, we will have Chill get the arm wrestling bug. Right? If you have arm wrestling as a pre-show for UFC, that might be one way to help it take off in popularity. Just a thought by Gotham Arm Wrestling. Okay, so airtime is really, really, really expensive. Okay, even just to give you an idea, for for one of my companies, we are doing advertising on a local radio station, and we were like, okay, well, instead of just buying ads, can we just buy airtime to talk about? So not, it's almost like an ad to talk about the company, and this is not for EVW, but it was just a local regional radio station, and they were going to charge us upwards of $5,000, right? Upwards of $5,000, and this is regional, just for airtime. So similarly, I think for the UFC, even if we occupied 15 minutes for ourselves, that might be too much and too expensive, and they might not want to accept that. I mean, we are talking about somebody who has, you know, $1.1 billion, from from CBS or Paramount, right? So I think the only way to get there is if I think Endeavor, who owns who owns UFC, also owns a part of EVW. Then they might be inclined to uh, to help us out that way. This is not AI glasses. This is actually just computer glasses, because there's this spotlight that blinds me if it doesn't reflect some of it away. Apologize about, yes, I I have been trying to push for the rankings a little bit, so maybe now it's a good time to talk about the rankings. So one of the things that we've been discussing, between Robert Strazana and I, is that the weight classes for women, right now for women, it's the lowest is at 60 kilograms. Susanna was thinking perhaps maybe we should create a new one at 52, because a 52 kilogram women won't be able to compete at a very high level against a 60, right? So if it warrants a brand new category. I don't know if you guys can agree with that, but I think I can, because it's by percentage, it's a pretty big weight difference. But the problem is right now, and it's something that it's our problem to solve, right? Is that women matches aren't getting the same level of attention as some of the men's matches. Okay. Therefore, it is our responsibility to promote the women's matches and to bring popularity to them. But until such point, they don't have a lot of allocations in matches. And if they are not getting as many matches as the male counterpart, then it's very difficult to set a brand new category, sorry, another weight division, if there aren't a lot of matches in there. So the one thing that I kind of study is a little bit how the UFC does it, right? So we can kind of learn from them a little bit. And one thing that they did was, I think originally they had two weight categories for women, and then they had a superstar, right? And this superstar was just beating, and then they had to create two new weight categories for this set athlete. And over time, popularity dropped, and they actually now kind of discarded and one of their weight categories. So now they're officially, I think they still have four, but really they are only active in three. And EVW currently has four active. Matter of fact, actually only three active. The 60 kilogram, there only has been two matches in the whole history of EVW, right? So literally, there's only 4% on the on that ranking list. So to open a new one at 52 doesn't quite make sense for now, because what ultimately would dictate we ultimately what we it will dictate how many divisions there are is how many superstars that we can start culminating and bringing up from the women's side, right? And I mean, just like Ronda Rousey. So what ultimately can happen is that when we have more and more women matches, then it makes sense to open up the fifth category. So until then, not quite there yet. So I would like ideas on how we can push for the women's division, because I mean, uh, think about it also from another standpoint. If the women's arm wrestlers are getting more and more popular, then all of a sudden our pool to pick from, it becomes larger, right? So that's why I think it's one of those where it will take time, but the new poster that we will release soon will say Susanna will still be, and Eileen's match will still be in the featherweight category, which is 60 kilogram officially, but there'll be a 52 kilogram weight cap. Now, in the past, there were numerous occasions, where athletes were to compete at a certain weight class, but we never really disclosed. There was a back room kind of agreement between both athletes that there is a certain weight cap. Okay. Going forward, we will actually tell you guys that there are specific weight agreement between both athletes, so everybody can understand what's really going on. So like one of them was actually Valen now and Hunter Noffs, right? They actually had a special agreement to cap it at 75, because Valen traditionally he's only, he pulls at 70, but he had to go up in weight to kind of match Hunter, and Hunter had to come down in weight, right? So the agreement was 75, but it was never really made known. Everybody thought it was 77. Now it's only 2 kilograms. Some people might think it's not that big of an idea, but when you have athletes coming from both ends of the spectrum kind of meet together, that that's actually a 4 kilogram, spread. So there's that. What has been your favorite EVW event so far as a fan, not an owner? Hmm. As a fan, that's a good question. As a fan, I would say, in terms of a mixture of everything, I'd say Arlington. Arlington was fun because the venue just made it extra fun. If you were there, you saw how grand and how majestic that stage was. Like, it's really hard to compare with all our other events that we've had so far. Now, matter of fact, I think this past weekend they had like some massive chess tournament, like a team event, like Team USA versus Team India at the Arlington Esports Stadium, right? Where uh, I think Gukesh, the world champion, lost to Nakamura, right? So anyway, I just randomly saw that, but yeah. So that hall, that room is awesome. So I think in terms of that, that's because when you have a lot more LED screens, you it allows us, from a graphical standpoint, to do more flashy animation and all the fun, cool stuff. So I think that's probably my favorite event. How do you see the tournament grow? Will you guys eventually be able to have shows once a month or more? Yes. So we are doing a lot of different things now. One is we'll revive the Challenger series that was spearheaded at one point with Chance Shaw. So I've actually messaged Chance Shaw, so I'm supposed to have a meeting with him later, and it'll be kind of go over the plans around the whole world. Okay, around the whole world, and it is almost like an unofficial step right into the main event because pretty soon we'll have the preliminary matches, right? That will be free on YouTube before our main event, right? So it will probably start in our December's event. And that way, it'll be like, okay, well, if you're first time at an EVW main event, you'll be in the prelim matches, and then you can work your way up into the main match. But it's not always that level because even the preliminary event will still have a headliner, right? A headliner for the prelims. And in that kind of argument, technically the headliner for the prelims might be more watched than the like one of the undercards in the main pay-per-view event, right? So it's not always like that strict of a format, but it's sort of a path. And challenger event could be also another way that people can work towards to up to that point. Now, in terms of tournament, right? I've been slowly pushing, but I mean, we still have a lot of things, on our plate. But King of the Table may become our tournament arm for EVW Sports because I think tournaments are pretty important as a different style, right? Compared to a super match. I'm not an arm wrestler, but I would imagine there's a lot of different techniques, endurance, speed that will all have to become part of your strategy because when you're going to a tournament versus a super match, right? So there's that. Another question up is who's the next up and coming woman that we don't know about in arm wrestling? Whew. There are quite a few. There are quite a few. In watching some of the matches in WAF Worlds, there were some that kind of surprised us a little bit. And it's mostly Snezana who's actually reporting back like, oh, you got to check her out. You got to check her out, right? And we are paying attention. We are paying attention. We are paying attention, and because I'm also looking to see how we can push, more of the female category. That's why we have to pay more attention. Yeah. Let's see. It's hard to popularize the female division in male-dominated sports where 90% of the viewership is male. I think currently, Gotham, I don't think you're wrong, but I think you're also forgetting one point. Males also do enjoy watching eye candies, right? Right. They also enjoy watching females. I don't think male like to watch just male. I don't think I can tell you so many instances where the males enjoy watching females more than the males. And one is like rhythmic gymnastics, right? Or ice skating. I think female tend to have a higher. Now, I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. I think that number would be skewed more heavily towards, uh, you know, men prefer watching the females version, division versus the males division, right? So, not, yeah, I'm not quite sure. I met Barbara in where was the last time I met her? Was it first time I met her was I think King of Table 13. I think she pulled Gabby then, if I'm not wrong. And She is big. She's strong. She is strong. So, but this time, I think if you really catch right, it's a different hand, and I don't know if there's a clear favorite. I don't think if there's a clear favorite. If anything, it'd be really really close. Yeah, I think it'd be really close. Fia is already a superstar, world champion. I just got to figure out how to market her a little bit better. So it's kind of my fault, right? That they're not where they are at. But we recognize, especially Fia, Ayane is still yet to be determined because she technically only has pulled once. She needs to build up a little bit of her name there. So she's not on the same level as Fia just quite yet, in my opinion. But Fia she has a great story. She has an absolutely great story. So we're gonna have to spend some time. So one of the things that Coach Ray has that I kind of talked to Coach Ray about, that he has to kind of do this for us, is that I allocated a budget for him, that it's a use it or lose it kind of situation. He doesn't get to keep any of it, so it's a budget for him to travel with Tina, and that travel budget is specifically designed for him to visit athletes to do documentary for EVW, right? So, for instance, if we were to go have an event in Atlantic City, right? And I think Paul Lin put it on his message that they want to do something together. I'm like, yeah, that's great, right? Come a week early or come a couple days early. Go to Paul Lin's place. I think Paul Lin lives in Pennsylvania, so not too far. So go there, check him out, do a small little documentary, and use it for as a promo video. Should Paul Lin pull in Atlantic City as well, right? So those are some of the ideas that I want to be, helping push, and the only way is to help. I can't do it. I just don't have the time, and I'm not very good anyway. You probably don't want me doing all the documentaries, but so that's one of the things that I have set aside for Ray to do, so he can travel and spend that on making more content, higher level content for EVW. Mr. Peanut has have women host watch parties and act as timekeepers. Have ladies keep timetable records, feed announcers facts and stats from their live watch parties, and showcase women matches worldwide at the same time. I'll think about that. I'll think about that. We have been talking about those super interesting stats on our pay-per-view, right? If you see right now some of the posters that we are releasing, it also mentions certain things like undefeated in the welterweight category, right? Uh, another one you may see would be, well, they're 5-0 in the past 5 matches, right? And then it'd be another one would be all their matches average time length is under 30 seconds, right, per round. Those are some of the facts that it just gives more value to the audience when they're watching a pay-per-view. Oh yeah, Hikaru to the crowd too, especially when he won. That's actually a pretty big thing, because I don't think it's been done widely before, and people are talking that it might be a new trend to win and throw a piece to the crowd. So something there. Hi- Hikaru is pretty popular. Yes. Official timetable. Okay. Yeah, people are calling. I'm guessing this is in reference to Babora, sturdy woman, very very good, sturdy. Like, here's another suggestion from DJ USA. Also, you should focus on athlete specific merchandise. I personally would never wear an esports style jersey, but a well designed t-shirt like something Hayabusa would design would sell extremely well. I have okay, so I spent a better part this week at the one of our merchandise fulfillment center. Well, sorry, vendor. So he will help us manufacture some higher level merch wear, much higher level merch wear. And one thing that we are looking to design is an EVW full uh, zipper jacket. Okay, it'll be of a mid-weight uh, thickness, so people could still wear it indoors. But if it's still a bit chilly outside, they can still. So it's kind of like in between kind of thing, right? And one thing I am wanting to do is having it personalized for the athletes, so they'll walk around with the names either on the back. I still haven't figured it out yet, because if it's a hoodie, then the hoodie would cover their names. So it has to be on the lower back, or we could just do it either on the front right chest, because the left chest with the EVW East versus West, and there, or they can do it on the arms. So I haven't really quite figured that out yet. If you guys have an opinion, let me know. Now, in terms of specific merchandise, I have thought about it. Okay, the only thing is we have hundreds of athletes, and if we're going to sell specific athlete and then you multiply by how many sizes we have, it would be a nightmare in fulfillment. However, there's also those where we could talk about, say, it's a generic piece of jersey, and then when you order it, then that name gets customized on the back and then it gets shipped out. That is that possibility as well. Or we only pick world champions that they have uh, specific merch to be sold on our online store, and for every piece that's sold, they get a they get a small kickback, right? So maybe that's also another way to incentivize the world champions, or to be world champion. You got to be, you get some side income that way. Might not be a lot, but might be enough, because that way it's it is also for the fans to show extra support to the athletes. You see what I'm saying? So if they get a couple $100 extra a month, that's still money, right? So might be there soon. Oh, here you go. Eastside Arm Wrestling, Greg Yao opened the first arm wrestling gym, perhaps maybe in Southeast Asia. Not, but for sure Singapore, but I'm not so sure about Southeast Asia. So congrats to him. Uh, Everybody who's in that region, you might want to check it out. He's giving free beginners lesson now. If you remember. So there's that. Oh, let me put the banner up too. Gotta make sure. Get your in-person tickets and pay-per-view. Let's see. I want some Larrett branded Crocs. You know what? So one of the things that what I try to do is to figure out how to utilize our reputation out in the market and connect them with some of our athletes, right? So I think one of the ones that we did in Chicago was with the Barstool Sports, right? And we're just trying to do more collaboration work, and we are not superstars ourselves, so we're gonna have to find and bring in our athletes to and connect them, because if our athletes gets more popular, then our events get more popular and the sport gets more popular. So if you guys have any ideas on maybe not just ideas but connections, if you guys have connections to celebrities or influencers or content creators who could possibly gain from you know having one of our athletes get connected with, to make content and grow the sport, let us know. I mean, Devin's always out there. He's always out there doing promotional work. I mean, he was just at Riyadh, and I think he's going down to Australia pretty soon. And yeah, and he's everywhere. He's literally everywhere. Let's see. Oh yeah, the one other thing is I want to mention is, if you guys can leave a comment after the whole show is over, okay, after the whole show is over, because I don't really get to read most of the messages here, but tell me, where are some of the places since King of the Table 13, right? Since then, what are some of the places that you guys enjoyed watching, our events take place. Okay, is it Chicago? Is it Arlington? Is it Loveland? Is it Istanbul, Georgia? Right? We just want to get a feel of what everybody thinks, and also if you have suggestions and connections of where to host the next event for next year. We still have a couple of slots that we have that are not filled yet. And the idea behind this, and don't just say your hometown, or just where you're living, because that's kind of it's extremely biased. But more specifically, tell me if, like, okay, well, I think you should do it here, and here are the reasons. And one of the reasons would usually help would be because my event, oh sorry, I'm connected to this guy, and he might be able to help you guys out in terms of sponsorship. Something like that would be really really helpful. Any plans on commercial licensing for streaming EVW events? So I'd love to be able to have live watch parties of the events at my gym members to watch. Yes, that is something that we worked with our streaming partner. At least in North America, there's a team that goes out to commercial places and ensures that they have not just for ours, just not for arm wrestling, but for every sport, to make sure that they're compliant on a few things. Example, there are people that checks commercial places that they are having some sort of a license, commercial license for music, background musics, right? And same thing with videos as well, and live streaming. They can't, technically they're not like, businesses are not allowed to just, at least in America, they get cracked down. You can't just go on Netflix and just air for the whole, like cinema type level, right? You need special licenses, and they're doing it for arm wrestling. Internationally, we haven't quite have been able to do it yet, but yeah, we are thinking of having a commercial license for international. The real answer is enforcing it would be a challenge, because Greg, I mean, if you just did it with one pay-per-view license, I wouldn't know, right? Until somebody reports back to us. Somebody says, "Oh, by the way, Greg did this," then that's how we know. So the enforcement would be a bit challenging. So we do have actually an internal pricing that we have for commercial license that is not published, because we don't want to do sticker shock. But send me a message and we'll talk. We'll talk. Also, we also have sponsorships. So it's not really anything big, but uh, like clubs around the world, right? Clubs around the world. If you know, especially if there is a way to show that there are some, you know, partnership involved, then we would also give out 100% off pay-per-view codes to them for their members to watch as well. So there is one of those things that we kind of do, but it needs to also be reciprocal as well. Chicago, Canada, Georgia, Orlando, Texas. Next event is it's good, good. The best place is where you save the most on overhead and still have a nice venue. That is, I mean, ultimately that's what we're trying to achieve. We are trying to find balance, right? We want to find balance that it's neither here nor there. It's it's not easy. It's not the easiest, especially visas. Visas, uh, like for instance, we didn't know that there are certain citizens of certain countries require visas to enter Switzerland, right? Something that we didn't really think of when we picked Switzerland, but it might, so just throwing it out there, right? America, we kind of have a little bit of control. We kind of understand it really well. But if you travel to, say, Austria, Bulgaria, one of those countries, then we might forget to check. Oh, we are setting this match up, but wait, this athlete can come in unless he gets a visa. What's the process, right? So those are something we have to all consider. But here's another question from Weird Cat. Maybe a stupid question, but how do you determine a fair amount to pay an athlete if you don't know how much money is that person able to bring back in terms of pay-per-view sales? That's a good question. It's not a stupid question. It's really not a stupid question. Well, there is a balance, okay? And here's a I wonder if I should explain the method that I use to calculate things. Okay, I think it's good. Maybe it's good. So if athletes know this, they very well might help us push this. One of the main ways that we determine how watched an athlete is, it's our full match videos that we release on YouTube, right? So we can actually see how much people care about certain athletes. Okay. So, but then the question is, well, let's say Dexter Tan pulls Devin and I get 1 million views. Well, I'm gonna be a popular arm wrestler. No, it doesn't work that way, right? It is a culmination over time, over several events. We'll monitor your numbers to see how much people care about your match as well. But we don't take that solely as the only factor because there are times where the matches are just maybe poorly made, perhaps, maybe, right? This guy is overly clearly mismatched. So not many people, as much people care about the match. So it's not always the athlete's fault. It's the matchmaker's fault as well, right? So, but it's just one good indicator of how everything's happening. Also, uh, I use tools to monitor chatter, right? How many people are talking about certain matches? It comes from Reddit, comes on Reddit quite a bit, on social media, Instagram quite a bit, not very much on Facebook, but those actually determines how popular an athlete is. And frankly, it also determines, well, one of the determining factor is how well they do. They got to win, right? I mean, if they are popular but they keep losing, we also have certain level that we have to uphold. So we can't have a guy who keeps losing like 5 times in a row and still put it out there because he's a good, I don't know, he he he's a good singer or something like that. You see what I'm saying? So we got to be really. It's a big balance. Right now, it's sort of an art form. It's an art form, seeing what the fans want and what how good they are at the table. It's a good combination. But so for all the athletes out there, I think it's important for them to also promote their own matches when the full match comes out. And I think if they themselves have a big social media presence, they have more clout and more reach. That also helps. So that's why I'm pushing. Every athlete should try to push to have a decent social media presence. Not to be sexist, but NBA, NFL, they have pretty girls as side reporters. I'm not saying Coach Ray is ugly, but would be nice to switch it up sometimes. Oh man, I gotta screenshot this and send it to Ray. But um, yeah, I mean, if you know of any good commentators and reporters, uh, sorry, not commentators, mostly like host for events. Matter of fact, with I don't even remember this guy, Drew Gallagher. Yeah, I was working with him, and he was getting me connected with some. Devin also, I also reached out to Devin because he knows a lot of people. He's traveled far and wide, so he also knows of some. But I'll have to take that into consideration. Let's see. I'm gonna start wrapping it up pretty shortly, but I suggested Charlotte so that you could harness the Southern NASCAR crowd. Beer drinking, rifle shooting, fast car driving. I think they would love arm wrestling. Well, here's also what I'm thinking, right? Maybe if you guys do this poll, just ask your friends who don't know anything about arm wrestling, who preferably don't even know that you arm wrestle, and just ask them, hey, there's this arm wrestling event this weekend, just like maybe 30 minutes drive, and the tickets are like $50. Do you guys want to go check it out? I want to see what that reaction is. Would they be like arm wrestling? I don't know what that is. I'm not interested. Or be like arm wrestling. That's pretty interesting. Let's go check it out. $50. So that's kind of like where that would matter, Gotham, really, because I think we are still somewhat of a destination, uh, like event. Like people would know about us and will travel there instead of you know, neely willy. Oh, that's I've got nothing to do. Oh, that's an arm wrestling event. Let's go. Just check it out. Right? We are not sort of a comedy kind of show, stand up comedy show. Like anybody can. It's not very. We're not very general yet. That's why. So here's another good one. DJ says, as far as your hoodie, just put the athlete's name running vertically on the sleeve. Imagine a hoodie that says no limits down the right arm and down the left. Mm, gotta consider that. Uh, promo codes for channels and athletes to give out, please. Okay, problem is, Drew, margins are already pretty small. Margins are already pretty small. Okay, example. We do a dollar kickback to all the athletes as commission. Okay, and or a dollar promo code, and some of the channels and some athletes may only get a couple hundred, right? I think that might be not worth even their time, because they'd be like, oh, I only got like $100. It's not even worth it to kind of keep pushing this in the future. There will be some athletes who make out like a bandit, but there was some athletes who won't really move the needle for them. So it's a massive accounting nightmare as well. Let's see. How about a yearly cowboy classic every year and set it up a rodeo arena? Everyone is required to wear blue jeans, cowboy boots, and belt buckles. Technically, Loveland, I think they've hosted cowboy events there. It's that arena that rodeo events would do really well. What's your back pressure numbers looking like, Dexter? I don't know. I don't know. I didn't really check. Probably should check. Good question. I'm actually gonna start, renovating, not renovating, but moving my computer setup here a little bit differently. Uh, and I'm gonna put a table in there, so maybe I'd have a camera there, and maybe you could do something fun there. But no, nothing quite there yet. Um, let's see. Why are there no local ads in Zurich for your event? Good question. I'm gonna check on that. Local ads in Zurich. Local ads Zurich. Okay, good. I actually didn't think about that. Charge 21 and give $1 kickback. It's not a fortune, but it's something. It's more to show who's trying to push arm wrestling just to help it grow. Okay, I get where you're coming from, Drew, but I think the rest of the world is very, very price sensitive. Very, very price sensitive, right? And that's one. The second thing is we probably, just the athletes themselves. We have 24 athletes. Then you need to consider, what about the refs? What about other influencers, right? There's a lot out there. Let's just say 30, right? We have to figure out 30 different codes, do 30 different accounting process, later on. It's a lot of work. And I just think, irregardless of whether they have the promo code or not, the athletes should be doing the promotion anyway. Correct? So there is that. So is it just only now specialty channels? That's a question. That's Gotham Arm Wrestling says, for a small fee, I will seat or slash plaster the Mid Atlantic region with promotional flyers, business card. We will talk one day when I get the music business more under control. That's funny. Business idea from Mr. Peanut: how to monetize combined event tournications, a combination of high-level tournaments and vacation. This model is highly marketable community leaders to increase tourism. That's not the worst idea, right? I've seen where there are like events where the promoter books out an entire cruise ship, okay, and the whole cruise ship is all like-minded people with the same hobby. So can you imagine if we had a whole, we booked out the whole, I would say, resort, right, Cancun or something like that, and it only arm wrestlers can book it for this 5 days, and we will have like 50 arm wrestling table. So people will be at the beach arm wrestling, people will be at the buffet table arm wrestling, people will be like by the poolside arm wrestling. Everybody's arm wrestling everywhere. That would be the absolute banger. Absolute banger. And then we will have like go fly in some special guest athlete, just walking around. Some of our special guests, some of our athletes just, hey, you want to pose? Like, okay. And I think that's super cool. Super cool. You know what? I like that. I like that enough to make note of it. Tournication. I don't know about needing it to be a tournament, but yeah, maybe we can have tournament on the second day or something, right? So yes, so I'm not. Yeah, so to increase the price just to give a discount, um, yeah, it's kind of a not kind of my style really. But there are ways where you can make it work, but just not right now. I think right now, honestly, is our main focus is instead of playing with all the pricing and everything, we got to figure out how to bring in sponsors, bring in good venues, having good show, and building the community. Literally building the community. Because if we don't build the community, then the sport isn't growing. Then more eyes won't be there to help grow the sport. So I think building community is our first step. When we hit mainstream, who knows? Honestly, we don't need pay per view. Pay per view is probably a dying, might be a slow dying kind of method of generating revenue versus broadcast. Having a broadcast stream, I mean, like UFC proven it, they're out of the pay per view business next year with the deal with Paramount. I hope to get a deal with Hulu, Netflix, or one of those big streaming companies, right? So yeah, I that is our goal. But I think first we need to increase the eyeballs. We need to increase the eyeballs. Yeah, that's right. Music festivals on cruise ship, tons of band, 5 day cruise ship. Is cruise ship better? How? Hmm. I gotta think about this for a second. How many people would actually be on the cruise ship for our event? How can we? Can you think 1,000 people would pay $1,500 per person? Or $2,500. I don't know what the number is. Maybe $2,000 per person. Can I get 1,000 people to pay $2,000 for a holiday arm wrestling event? Whew. Maybe cross promotions, but yeah. So that is cross promotions would be great with the bare knuckle fighting. Connor's the owner now. There are people who get into arm wrestling. Have Chael put someone there. Train 30 days by Neil. Yeah, that there's so many projects out there, honestly, we could be doing, but we're constrained by time, money, and also expertise as well, right? Manpower. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that. Something to consider. Now, if you guys haven't checked out our website for our pay-per-view tickets, go buy it right now before maybe I increase it by $1. No, I'm just kidding. It won't happen. For now, for until then, I will see you guys next week.